The stars you worshipped and adored, they were hiding secrets. Behind the glittering lights of the vintage era, legends changed names, faiths, and identities for love, power, or survival. Some walked paths the world never imagined, their private lives more shocking than any role they played. From secret believers to hidden conversions, these icons carried stories, biographies dared to tell. Every twist, every choice, every transformation will challenge everything you thought you knew about fame, desire, and devotion. Here are 19 vintage actors who were Muslims but no one knew. Michel Dimitri Chalhoub, Omar Sharif. In the golden age of cinema, Michel Dimitri Chalhoub was a name few in the West knew, but the world would come to adore him as Omar Sharif, the Egyptian heartthrob who conquered Hollywood. Born in 1932 to a Christian family in Alexandria, Michel grew up dreaming of glamour far beyond the desert's edge. When he met Egyptian screen goddess Faten Hamama, love demanded more than words. It demanded transformation. To marry her, he converted to Islam, taking the name Omar al-Sharif, a decision that would alter the course of his destiny. Sharif's conversion was more than a marriage vow. It was a passport to a wider world. Soon after, his piercing eyes and magnetic calm lit up Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. Yet behind the polished charisma was a man constantly at war with identity. Western fame came at a cost. In Egypt, many whispered that he had abandoned his roots, while in Hollywood, he was still the exotic outsider. Fame and fortune couldn't silence the ache of that loneliness. He gambled heavily, loved passionately, and lost deeply, the very things that made his performances so haunting. When his marriage to Faten ended, many said he never recovered. Still, Omar Sharif remained proud of the faith he embraced for love and the culture he carried across continents. Ellen Burstyn, Hadia. Hollywood has always worshipped youth and beauty, but Ellen Burstyn carved her place with something far rarer: depth. Long before fame found her, she was a Detroit waitress named Edna Ray Gillooly, chasing stages instead of safety. Her journey from forgotten corners of America to the heights of The Exorcist and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore was nothing short of spiritual. Maybe that's why, when the world crowned her an icon, she went searching not for more fame, but for meaning. In the late 1970s, amid her Oscar triumphs and restless nights, Burstyn found herself drawn to the teachings of Islam and Sufism. She didn't make headlines for it, she never cared to. Away from flashing cameras, she took the spiritual name Hadia, meaning she who guides. It wasn't a conversion for show, but a quiet evolution, a whisper between her and the divine. Unlike many Hollywood stars who changed faiths for love or reinvention, Burstyn's transformation was inward. She explored Sufi meditation, read the Quran, and wove her new serenity into her craft. Critics began to note the calm in her eyes, the grounded sorrow in her later roles. You could feel that silent spiritual gravity that made her performances ache with truth. Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam. There was a time when Cat Stevens's voice ruled the airwaves, soft, aching, and impossibly sincere. Songs like Wild World and Father and Son made him the poet of a restless generation, a man who sang not for fame, but for something deeper he couldn't yet name. Behind that velvet tone and shy smile was a soul quietly suffocating under the weight of success. By the mid-1970s, he was one of the most beloved artists alive, and yet he felt completely lost. Then came the ocean. One afternoon, while swimming off the coast of Malibu, Stevens was caught in a fierce current. The waves pulled him under again and again until he thought it was over. In that desperate moment, he prayed to God to save me, and he never forgot that vow. What followed was one of the most radical transformations in modern music. He vanished from the spotlight, sold his guitars, and began his journey into Islam, taking the name Yusuf Islam. To fans, it looked like madness. How could a man trade global fame for prayer and quiet? But to Yusuf, It was peace. He found in Islam what the industry couldn't give him: clarity, humility, and purpose. For nearly 2 decades, Yusuf stayed away from stages, yet the music never really left him. When he finally returned, his songs carried a new calm, a softness born of surrender. Mahershala Hashbaz Gilmore, Mahershala Ali. Long before the Oscars and Golden Lights, Mahershala Hashbaz Gilmore was just a boy from Oakland, with a name almost as big as his dreams. Born in 1974, Mahershala grew up with a passion for storytelling, but Hollywood rarely made room for young black actors chasing serious roles. He struggled, stumbled, and watched as others got the parts he longed for. The world was waiting, but it wasn't ready yet. Then came a personal transformation that would shape his art as much as his life. Embracing Islam in his 20s, he adopted the name Mahershala Ali, a reflection of faith, identity, and the man he wanted to become. It wasn't a publicity stunt or a celebrity gimmick. It was a compass for living and performing with intention. His faith anchors him, he said in interviews, and you can feel that grounding in every performance, from Moonlight to Green Book. Ali's rise was meteoric, but earned. Each role seemed to demand the full measure of his humanity, his faith lending subtle power to quiet moments and explosive intensity to dramatic turns. He became the first Muslim actor to win an Oscar twice. But fame never diluted the introspective man behind it. He credits his faith for helping him navigate Hollywood's pressures, its egos, and its relentless judgment. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In the heart of New York City, a young boy named Lou Alcindor towered over his classmates long before he ever stepped on a professional court. Tall, gangly, and painfully shy, he was destined for greatness. But greatness is rarely just about talent. It's about the battles inside you. In the early 1970s, Alcindor was already a basketball sensation, dominating college hoops at UCLA and on the verge of entering the NBA. Yet something deeper tugged at him: questions of identity, purpose, and faith. It was during this pivotal time that Alcindor embraced Islam, changing his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which means generous servant of the Almighty. This wasn't just a name change, it was a reclamation of self. In a world eager to define him by his stats, his height, or his fame, Kareem sought to define himself by his own terms, by his beliefs, his values, and his inner discipline. His transformation reverberated on and off the court. Kareem became more than a basketball legend. He became a cultural icon. He wore his faith quietly but proudly, weaving it into activism, writing, and mentoring younger generations. Every skyhook, every championship, every record-breaking moment carried the weight of a man fully aligned with his purpose. Yet the journey wasn't without friction. Critics questioned his motives. Teammates sometimes struggled to understand him, and fans debated the impact of his religious choices. Through it all, Kareem remained unwavering. Sean Christopher Stone, Ali. Growing up as the son of legendary filmmaker Oliver Stone, Sean Christopher Stone seemed destined for the silver screen. Cameras, scripts, and lights were in his blood. Yet behind the glamour of Hollywood, Sean wrestled with a deeper search for meaning. Fame and opportunity surrounded him, but his heart was drawn to something quieter, something spiritual, a path that would reshape his very identity. In his 20s, Sean took a profound step. He embraced Islam and adopted the name Sean Ali Stone. Sean described it as aligning his life with a moral compass, seeking clarity, discipline, and a connection to a higher power. For someone raised amid Hollywood chaos, this commitment was both radical and grounding. As Sean Ali Stone navigated the entertainment world, his faith became an invisible armor. It informed the roles he chose, the projects he pursued, and the way he carried himself in a realm obsessed with image. Friends and fans noticed a shift, a calm confidence replacing impulsive energy, a reflective presence amid the frenzy of cameras and premieres. Yet the journey was personal, often private. Sean rarely made headlines for his conversion, choosing instead to let his work and character speak for him. Over time, this quiet devotion became part of his story. Sean Christopher Stone gave the world a young actor. Sean Ali Stone gave the world a man at peace with himself. Gérard Depardieu. In the smoky cafes and narrow streets of Châteauroux, France, a boy named Gérard Depardieu was already learning the art of survival. Born in 1948 to a working-class family, life was rough. Dreams were bigger than budgets, and the world seemed stacked against him. Yet, Gérard carried a spark, a raw magnetism that could fill a room even before he uttered a word. That spark would one day ignite the French cinema and beyond, making him one of Europe's most recognized faces. But Gérard Depardieu's story isn't just about fame or films. In the 1970s, amid the glare of European stardom, he explored a spiritual path that surprised many. Gérard reportedly embraced Islam for a period, immersing himself in its practices and philosophy. This chapter of his life was brief but telling, a glimpse of a man searching for grounding in a world of excess, indulgence, and relentless attention. It wasn't a public spectacle. It was private, profound, and intensely human. Depardieu's intensity on screen mirrored the turbulence of his life off it. His temper, his passions, and his unapologetic choices made tabloids, yet his work displayed a depth few could ignore. Roles in Cyrano de Bergerac, Green Card, and countless French masterpieces revealed a man unafraid to bare his soul, to carry contradictions, and to confront life head-on. Richard Gere. Before the world knew him as the smoldering heartthrob of Pretty Woman and An Officer and a Gentleman, Richard Gere was a lanky boy from Philadelphia with more questions than answers. Born in 1949, Gere seemed destined for ordinary life, yet something inside him was always searching for purpose, for peace, for meaning, beyond fame and applause. Hollywood offered the spotlight, but it couldn't satisfy the soul that longed for depth. It was Buddhism that first entered his life, guiding him toward meditation, compassion, and inner calm. But alongside this spiritual journey, Gere also explored Islam, drawn to its discipline, devotion, and timeless wisdom. While his religious path remained private, those close to him saw the shift, the way he carried himself with quieter confidence, the subtle gravitas he brought to roles, interviews, and interactions. For Gere, faith wasn't about showmanship. It was a way to center himself amidst a life that never stopped moving. Even as fame grew, so did his humanitarian work, particularly for refugees, Tibet, and global human rights. Gere's choices off-screen mirrored the integrity he sought within, proving that the man beneath the designer suits and Hollywood smiles was deeply committed to living with purpose. Yet fame and spirituality don't always align. Gere faced skepticism, gossip, and the occasional backlash, but he stayed unwavering. It was this tension between public adoration and private devotion that made him fascinating, a man who could captivate millions while still seeking something intangible, sacred, and true. Sharmila Tagore, Ayesha Sultana. Before she became one of Bollywood's most luminous stars, Sharmila Tagore was a young girl from Hyderabad, navigating the halls of elite schools while harboring dreams of the silver screen. Born in 1944 into a family of culture and privilege, Sharmila carried elegance in her every gesture, but the film industry was anything but gentle. Still, her talent shone, graceful, emotive, and effortlessly magnetic. And soon she was capturing hearts across India. Behind the glamour, however, Sharmila's life was also deeply personal. When she fell in love with cricket legend Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi, the relationship demanded more than affection. It demanded transformation. To marry him in 1968, Sharmila converted to Islam, adopting the name Ayesha Sultana. Unlike a Hollywood spectacle, this was a private evolution, a commitment to family, faith, and the responsibilities that came with both. For Sharmila, The change wasn't a surrender, but an embrace of a new identity that reflected love, respect, and spiritual alignment. Even after stepping into her new life, she continued to light up the screen. From Aradhana to Amar Prem, her performances revealed a depth and vulnerability that few could match. Perhaps it was the quiet strength forged in her private faith, or the serenity she carried from balancing personal conviction with professional excellence. Audiences never knew the full story, but the grace that emanated from Sharmila Tagore was unmistakable. Amrita Singh. In the glittering chaos of 1980s Bollywood, Amrita Singh emerged as a force to be reckoned with. Born in 1969 into a world of privilege and opportunity, she could have easily coasted on charm alone. But Amrita had fire, a fearless energy that made her performances unforgettable. Whether playing a spirited romantic lead or a woman grappling with heartbreak, she commanded the screen with intensity that left audiences riveted. Off-camera, life demanded transformations of a different kind. When she fell in love with actor Saif Ali Khan, the stakes were higher than any film set. To marry him, Amrita reportedly converted to Islam, embracing a new faith that reflected not just love, but a personal commitment to family and tradition. Unlike a publicity stunt, this step was deeply private, a quiet evolution that mirrored her maturity and the seriousness with which she approached life's crossroads. Her conversion didn't soften her edge. If anything, it strengthened it. Amrita continued to dominate the screen with fearless authenticity, navigating the intense pressures of stardom with grit and elegance. Colleagues recall a woman who balanced vulnerability and strength, someone capable of both fiery passion and quiet reflection, a duality that made her unforgettable. Saroj Khan, Saraswati Kumari. Before the world knew her as Saroj Khan, the queen of Bollywood choreography, she was Saraswati Kumari, a young girl in Mumbai dreaming of music, movement, and magic. Born in 1948, her childhood was shaped by struggle, early loss, relentless poverty, and long hours watching dancers glide across silver screens. Yet even in hardship, her eyes sparkled with a vision. She would transform Bollywood dance forever. Saroj's journey was far from easy. She started as a child artist and assistant choreographer, observing the legends, absorbing every nuance of rhythm and expression. Her talent was undeniable, but the industry was ruthless, demanding, and often unforgiving. Behind the dazzling routines and iconic moves, there was a woman who had fought tirelessly for respect, recognition, and artistic freedom. At a personal level, Saroj's life involved deep transformations. In her second marriage, reports suggest she embraced Islam, blending faith with love, family, and her artistic identity. While her stage name remained Saroj Khan, her private spiritual path gave her a grounding that few could see. A quiet strength she carried onto every set, every stage, and into every dance she created. Her choreography became legendary, from Nagina's snake dance to Chandni's timeless sequences, but it was her humanity, her relentless discipline, and the subtle grace born of her faith that made her unforgettable. Behind the sequins and spotlights, Saroj Khan was a woman of devotion, resilience, and vision. In the end, Saraswati Kumari gave birth to Saroj Khan in herself, an icon whose life reminds us that true brilliance is built not only through talent, but through struggle, personal transformation, and the quiet power of faith. Hema Malini, Aisha B.R. Chakravarti. Before she became the dream girl of Bollywood, Hema Malini was a young girl from Tamil Nadu, full of grace, ambition, and a love for dance. Born in 1948, she trained in classical Bharatanatyam, and her elegance soon caught the eyes of filmmakers. By the late 1960s, she was lighting up the silver screen with her performances, capturing hearts with every smile and movement. But behind the glamour, Hema's life took a personal turn that few outside her family knew. When she fell in love with Dharmendra, one of Bollywood's most celebrated actors, their union required more than romance. It demanded adaptation and commitment. In order to marry him, reports suggest she converted to Islam, adopting the name Aisha B.R. Chakravarti. Unlike the headlines that chased her on screen, this transformation was deeply private, a personal choice rooted in love, family, and respect for tradition. Even after embracing this new chapter, Hema Malini continued to shine in films, her poise and talent undiminished. Roles in Sita Argita, Sholay, and countless other classics demonstrated a versatility and discipline that mirrored her quiet inner strength. Allah Rakhi Wasai, Noor Jahan. Before she was the voice that could make entire nations weep, Allah Rakhi Wasai was a young girl in Punjab, born into a world of music, tradition, and dreams too big for her small town. From an early age, she was captivated by melodies, learning classical tunes that would one day define her as Noor Jahan, the Queen of Melody. Her journey from Allah Rakhi to Noor Jahan wasn't just about fame, it was about transformation, identity, and the courage to step into a world that demanded both talent and reinvention. Her rise was fast. Noor Jahan became the heartbeat of Pakistani cinema and music, enchanting audiences with films, ghazals, and timeless songs that bridged hearts and cultures. Yet behind the dazzling performances and golden records was a woman deeply rooted in faith. She carried her Muslim identity quietly, integrating her beliefs into her life without spectacle, allowing her spirituality to guide her through the pressures of fame, the challenges of touring, and the intensity of performance. Even as Noor Jahan's voice filled theaters and radios, she remained Allah Rakhi at heart, devoted, humble, and unshaken by the trappings of stardom. Her faith gave her resilience, helping her navigate personal hardships and the shifting tides of an evolving industry. Every note she sang carried more than musicality. It carried the essence of a soul shaped by devotion and discipline. Noor Jahan wasn't just a singer or an actress. She was a legend whose art transcended borders, languages, and generations. But at her core was Allah Rakhi Wasai, a girl who embraced her identity, faith, and destiny with courage. Muhammad Yusuf Khan, Dilip Kumar. Before he became Bollywood's tragic hero, Muhammad Yusuf Khan was a young boy from Peshawar, carrying a quiet intensity and a dream too big for the narrow streets of his hometown. Born in 1922, Yusuf moved to Mumbai with little more than hope and determination, stepping into a world where success was uncertain and the silver screen was fiercely competitive. His early life was shaped by humility, resilience, and a hunger to be seen, not just as an actor, but as a storyteller of human emotion. When he entered films, he adopted the name Dilip Kumar, a decision that would make him a household name while keeping his private identity close to his heart. Behind the glamour and acclaim, however, Yusuf remained deeply connected to his Muslim faith, guiding his life choices, grounding his character, and influencing the integrity he brought to every role. He was not just performing, he was living the complexities of human emotion in every tear, every smile, every quiet moment. Dilip Kumar's career spanned decades, from Mughal-e-Azam to Devdas, capturing audiences with his unmatched ability to convey heartbreak, longing, and unspoken love. Colleagues often marveled at his discipline, humility, and commitment, traits undoubtedly shaped by the quiet faith he carried behind the camera. Yet what made him extraordinary wasn't just his talent, but the duality of his life. Muhammad Yusuf Khan, the man of conviction, and Dilip Kumar, the icon of cinema. Mumtaz Jahan Begum Delavi, Madhubala. Before the world knew her as Madhubala, the luminous star of Mughal-e-Azam and countless classic films, she was Mumtaz Jahan Begum Delavi, a young girl from Delhi with a voice that could charm and a presence that demanded attention. Born in 1933, her childhood was humble, yet brimming with ambition. From an early age, Mumtaz was drawn to performance, mesmerized by the magic of cinema and the power of storytelling. Her transformation into Madhubala was both personal and professional. The stage name masked her Muslim identity in an industry where names could influence opportunities, yet it never erased who she was at heart. Behind the dazzling smiles and sparkling eyes was a young woman of faith, navigating the pressures of fame, the scrutiny of the public, and the challenges of a demanding film industry. Her private devotion shaped her resilience, giving her a calm strength amid the chaos of stardom. Madhubala's rise was meteoric. Films like Chalti Ka Naam Gadi, Mr. and Mrs. 55, and Mughal-e-Azam cemented her as one of Bollywood's greatest icons, her beauty and talent making her unforgettable. Yet her brilliance on-screen was inseparable from her quiet determination off-screen, a reflection of Mumtaz Jahan's discipline, humility, and inner grace. Even as illness shadowed her later years, Madhubala remained an emblem of elegance and artistry, leaving a legacy that transcends generations. Behind the name and the fame was Mumtaz Jahan, Mahjabeen Bano, Meena Kumari. Before she became Bollywood's eternal tragedy queen, Mahjabeen Bano was a young girl navigating the bustling streets of Bombay, carrying dreams bigger than her circumstances. Born in 1933, she discovered the magic of cinema early, captivated by stories of love, loss, and longing. From a young age, she performed with a sincerity and depth that hinted at the legend she would become, Meena Kumari. Adopting a stage name allowed Mahjabeen to shine in a film industry that often demanded reinvention, but it never dimmed her inner essence. Behind the glamorous costumes and poignant expressions was a woman deeply shaped by faith, family, and personal trials. Her Muslim upbringing informed the discipline, humility, and intensity she brought to every performance, giving her characters a truth that audiences could feel but seldom understand. Meena Kumari's career was a symphony of brilliance and sorrow. Films like Pakiza, Sahib Bibi Aur Gulam, and Baiju Bawra revealed an actress who could embody heartbreak with an authenticity that was both breathtaking and heartrending. Colleagues often remarked on her dedication. She didn't just act, she lived her roles, drawing from the depths of her own experiences and convictions. Fatima Rashid, Nargis. Before she became Bollywood's beloved Nargis, the girl with expressive eyes that could speak volumes, she was Fatima Rashid, born in 1929 into a world of tradition, art, and quiet ambition. From an early age, she was enchanted by cinema, captivated by the way films could move hearts and mirror life's complexities. Little did anyone know that this young girl would grow to embody one of Indian cinema's most enduring legends. Adopting the screen name Nargis was more than a professional choice. It was a step into a world that demanded reinvention, while allowing her to carry her personal faith and values privately. Raised in a Muslim household, Fatima Rashid's beliefs grounded her in an industry often dominated by glamour, gossip, and constant scrutiny. Her identity and convictions became the silent strength behind her poised demeanor and heartfelt performances. Nargis's rise to stardom was meteoric. Films like Mother India, Awara, and Shri 420 showcased her versatility, grace, and the ability to convey profound emotion with a single glance. Yet behind the dazzling lights and critical acclaim was a woman who lived and breathed her characters with authenticity, shaped by her personal faith and moral compass. Every role carried depth. Every performance reflected integrity. Wahida Rehman. Before she graced the silver screen with elegance and timeless beauty, Wahida Rehman was a young girl in Chengalpattu, Tamil Nadu, discovering the magic of dance, music, and cinema. Born in 1936, her childhood was steeped in classical arts, and from an early age, she knew she wanted more than ordinary life. She wanted to move hearts, not just perform. Wahida's journey to Bollywood stardom was marked by talent, discipline, and quiet determination. She carried herself with a grace that transcended the camera, making audiences fall in love with her natural charm in films like Guide, Piazza, and CID. Yet behind the fame and accolades Wahida Rehman remained deeply connected to her roots and her faith. Reports suggest that though she navigated a career in a world dominated by glamour and temptation, her Muslim identity provided grounding, resilience, and a moral compass that guided her through life's challenges. Her performances often reflected this inner depth, the subtlety of her expressions, the poised restraint, and the authenticity that made her characters so memorable. Colleagues admired not only her talent, but the calm dignity she brought to every set, a quiet strength that came from within. Even in the whirlwind of fame, Wahida managed to remain true to herself, balancing career, family, and faith with remarkable grace. Her story reminds us that true elegance isn't just how the world sees you on screen, but how you navigate life off it, with integrity, devotion, and authenticity. From hidden faiths to secret name changes, these icons lived double lives the world never knew. Some conversions were for love, some for identity, and some for personal transformation. But all shaped their legends. Which story shocked you the most? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next revelation.